twiddles the world twiddles. And yes, he's green and he's see-through now too. Okay, so I was on Twitter constantly, and I came across this whole thing. I forget, somebody sent it to, I think it was in the DMs or something, and it was this guy just going off on the big two about how they haven't paid them. I mean, it's not like, oh, okay, well, we missed your check for it. According to this guy, he's got a story of, I did this work for him a while ago, and you know what? They're not paying up. And I thought, well, this is kind of interesting to me, because we've heard stories, we've heard rumblings about how little the big two creators are getting paid, but to be snubbed. I mean, this is not something fun, kids. I mean, you do a job, you get paid. That's the American way. That's what happens. It's a contract, you know. I mean, actually, he should have a contract saying that. But anyway, I thought it'd be kind of cool to go through this and check it out. VENKMAN, some others may join us later. But for now, let's see what this is all about, and we'll carry on. Hello to ALOISE and MARANYA and Jay in the comments. Feel free to chat it up, and we'll see what this says. It says from somebody named Will Robson, excuse me. Writer, artist, DC Marvel Image, IDW and stuff, co-host of the Spider-Man TAS pod and the Batman, the animated series pod. So there you go. Followed by Chick Duxon. Yes, Chuck Dixon. So there you go. That's why he was on other people's channel and not mine. All right. So it says, has it become an industry standard to pay creators ridiculously late for their work? Yeah, it sucks. It sucks to get paid. Look, pay me when it was when it's due, right? I've struggled all year with all the large companies I work for to get paid on the agreed time. I'm talking months late. It's sad how nervous I am to even talk about this publicly, in fear of being blacklisted for future work. But I've heard so many horror stories from other freelancers recently about fighting for their paycheck. And he's spelling it QUE, so I guess he's European. And he says, and I need to vent this all out and hopefully raise some awareness to make serious change. Well, here's the thing, Will, and it might just be me, but I think it would have been better to go straight to them rather than complain on Twitter. I may be off on this one, but going on Twitter and making your troubles public might actually look worse to the companies you're trying to talk to rather than better. Anyway, he goes on to say, here's how it works. You're hired to write or draw a book. The deal usually is you have to complete 5 to 10 pages first, and then you will receive a payment for that work a few weeks after completing it. This means that when you start a new project, it's not guaranteed when exactly you'll see your first payment, because depending on the difficulty of the work, team, book, locations, crowd scenes, yada, yada, the length of time it takes to create enough pages of work is always fluid. Usually, if you're a pro, you can gamble that your first payment will be 4 to 5 weeks upon taking on the work. So you're already looking at each project you take on as a month plus minimum expectancy of payment for half quarter of the issue you're working on. Now, this can be annoying as if you're constantly hopping from title to title. These payments can stagger between each other, and you can find yourself in some financial jams. Okay, my only problem about this now is that if you've been doing this for a while, you would think that you would have it so you're always getting paid. Like every week, if you're doing multiple titles, you make sure that it fits here and it fits there, and make sure there's income coming in all of the time. I just heard somebody pop in, and hello to RDV. What's up?
Not much.
Oh, how you doing? We're talking about this guy put up the this thing here about how Marvel and DC are not paying him. So we're going through this real quick. Okay, so it says, where is it? You can find yourself in some financial jams, but recently I've had what I thought was a stroke of bad luck with getting paid on that agreed amount of time after finishing work. And I'm not talking a week late. I'm a week late. I'm talking 5 to 10 weeks late. Yeah, that's unacceptable. I hope you're not handing in paper while they still owe you money. My dad did some work. He's a genealogist, and he was an accountant before that. And he did some work, and this guy came in, and my dad said, "Yeah, I got your numbers." It was when he was an accountant. And this is also soon after he was back from Vietnam. He told me about this story. I wasn't there. My uncle was, and he corroborated. And this guy, my dad has paper, goes, "Okay, I've got your money. I've got your paperwork. It's all done. It'll be $200. And the guy says, "Yeah, I think I'm just going to take this home, and you're not going to do anything about it." And the guy started alluding to the fact that he was connected and all that kind of stuff. And my dad basically said, "Okay, well, you're not getting this." And when he was threatening he basically did the, "If my child stubs his toe, I'm coming after you." And I just spent 6 years learning how to blow shit up. Do that. Look, I mean, I'm not saying you threaten to blow Marvel Comics up, but if you're drawing comics, they need the comics. They're not paying you for the comics. Don't give them the comics. It seems like very simple to me. I don't know. Am I off one?
Also, doesn't it sound like a breach of contract? You're supposed to pay me, and now it's getting longer and longer. If it's on your contract, make sure it's in your contract. Read your contract before you sign with these guys, because everything's a contract per comic book. You're not on, hourly wage here.
And look, here's the thing. DC and Marvel, as Joe is saying, should 100% pay people on time. Done. That's it. It is a shit practice of what they are doing here. That's it. I mean, but you do have to protect yourself, because they, especially if you've heard before that they screw around. And look, this entire industry is filled with a history of them over people. And look, Will, God bless you, but if they, I don't know what word to use, screwed or effed, but if they fucked around with Jack Kirby, who the fuck are you? Seriously, Marvel Comics screwed Jack Kirby for decades, even after he created the Marvel Universe with Stan Lee's help. He got screwed for decades. So at this point, I'm actually shocked that freelancers or whomever don't cover their ass just a little bit more. I got to tell you, I am shocked about this one.
If you're a virtue hire, I guess you're safe, right?
Maybe not. I mean, you're safe for being there, but are you safe for being paid there?
I don't know. But I could say this, though. I don't think that it's greener over at DC. I wouldn't be surprised if they treat it the exact same way, because we heard about Chuck Dixon. I'm on time all the time. Now I don't know what happened between him and DC, but like, if you're getting your stuff in on time, you're a good worker, and they're still treating like this.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
And it could, because maybe he said something, or somebody said something about him. You're like, oh, this person, and remember, they're all one. Gail Simone, all them, in Marvel and DC, they're all a group of cutthroats. They hate each other.
Yeah, I don't know. Did EVS ever bring up a time that he didn't get paid? I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't doubt it. I think that could have been part of it. I think that part of the problem he could be blacklisted is because EVS seems to me the type of person who would do what I'm suggesting, who would stand up and say, "You're not treating me like this. I'm sorry. You may treat Will Robson like this, but you're not treating old Ethan like this. That ain't happening, bro." Hello to Black Cat. What's up?
What's up, people?
I'm reading off this. I think it's an interesting subject, and I'm trying to win a Tales of Suspense 59 for way under its value for the auction. So fingers crossed. Two things are going on right now. Alrighty, so yeah.
What you're saying is only one person is going to get paid on time.
Yeah, well, this person here. Well, I don't know if I'll be paid on time. I hope I'll be paid on time.
No, I meant the guy you're bidding on his book he's selling.
Okay, yeah. It looks to be. I'm going to say this is in a 4, 5, maybe 5 condition, and I'm trying to get it for around.
So we should grab Thunderdome, amputate his foot, so you have a Lucky Rabbit's foot.
Oh yeah, yeah. I just can't tell which one he is. So okay. Yeah, I told the joke before you guys got there. All righty. Hold on just a second.
You told a joke? Maybe that is the joke.
Okay.
In this guy's I don't want indigestion or Gale on my case.
Right, right. Hello, hello. How you doing, little boy? EVS has often said that Didio was very good to the talent. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I had the stream waiting on separate tab for 20 minutes. It didn't start for me until I clicked on the tab just barely. Wow. Well, hey, look, Marvel screws over their employees, their freelancers, and YouTube kind of screws over their freelancers.
Well, YouTube's been doing this for about a couple of years now. If you have a stream it's about to go live open, sometimes you have to refresh the stream because it doesn't automatically do it like it's supposed to. It's been doing that since 2020, probably before that.
Yeah, that actually explains a lot because I might put it on my TV to play it because the TV is on set on the Disney Channel. And so I watch all my videos on my Disney Channel. And so I'll put it there just to give me a little extra watch time. Yes, I'm a whore. And yeah, sometimes it doesn't start. So yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. 1 minute, 42 seconds until that thing's over. You're left with bad ideologies who don't care, ideologues who don't care about money as long as they get their message, says In a Disguise. And that can explain how bad, I mean, God, you know what gets me? Is I've actually seen Riley Rosmo fans. Explain that to me.
I don't believe. Show your sheets.
I don't get it. But there are Riley Rosmo fans in the world. I mean, there are certain things that you should just be able to accept as truth. You know, water is wet. We breathe air. And Riley Rosmo sucks as an artist. It should be just universally known. You would think it. You would think
he
so.
sucks as a mainstream superhero artist. Like, he could be good at some other things that I don't ever want to see or plan to see. Like, he could be good somewhere else.
Like, if he did a comic book about blue-haired Antifa members, I think he would really capture the soul.
You know what I do? I'd have Dan Moore write this, and then like Robin gets high or Speedy gets high, and then he sees, and then we enter Ry Rosmo drawing.
Yeah, like if he were only drawing
when people are
LCD trips, yeah, acid trips.
But you know, the fact you said there's Ry Rosmo fans out there, I'm not shocked. There's people. I don't know how is Burger King still in business?
Okay, I didn't get it, and unfortunately I didn't get it by just a little bit. I hate that. You know what, give me the freaking, if you're gonna beat me on a book big. But when it's like only about 50 cents, in this case it was $1.50, I feel like, okay, well, you know what, I would have given up the Snickers bar.
You should have paid.
What?
I don't know, he roboted.
I didn't hear that last part.
You should have paid attention when Maranya gave the 1 minute warning. I had to pause because there was a car
I didn't see. Oh. Yeah, I should have been in there. I don't know. Anyway, back to business. Already looking at each project you take on as a month plus minimum expectancy of payment for half or a quarter of the issue you're working on. Now, this can be annoying as if you're constantly hopping from title to title. These payments can stagger between each other, and you can find yourself in some financial jams. But recently, I've had what I thought was a stroke of bad luck with getting paid on that agreed amount of time after finishing work. And I'll talk about it. Oh, wait, I've read that part. Family, okay, what are we talking about? These delays have caused me and my family so much stress, it's unbelievable. Yes, if you're late on a payment, it does cause stress. By the way, I've been through this recently. Let's see, I've dealt with delayed payments in the past working with smaller companies, but the biggest companies in the business are now delaying payments regularly, and I've really have had enough. A project I've worked on recently still hasn't paid me. I was expecting payment for it in mid-November, remembering that 4 to 5 week window of expected first pay I talked about. That means I started the book in October. How do these companies expect me to pay my bills? They don't care and afford the holidays. I've been constantly living in a state of survival mode all year with barely affording to get by due to these delays. I just find it ridiculous that I'm a trained and skilled worker who works 10 to 15 hour shifts, 5 to 7 days a week to hit these ridiculous industry standard deadlines that already take you away from having any sense of normal family, social life, to then have to worry about paying bills, feeding family. I mean, I get to draw these iconic characters owned by these large corporations who are making millions of dollars off of adapting freelancers like myself's art and creativity. But when you're drawing these characters and internally stressing over whether or not you could afford to buy your family Christmas presents this year due to the payment delays, enough is enough. I work hard. I hit my deadlines. Pay me. You know, you're yelling at us. You should be yelling at them. And to clarify, I'm not talking about editors being the issue. My editors are wonderful and fight with me to get paid, but that itself is bonkers thing to say that an employee of a company fights with me to get paid by the same company that they work for. Please, if you're like me and have had these or are having these issues with the comic industry and these large corporations, post your story below. I know I'm not the only one struggling. Let's make some real change. So happy to see this post has been seen. Okay, then this is the afterthought. Does anyone actually know if comic creators can unionize? Oh, you fucked up there, boy. You screwed up right there. You'd think that you would have had problems if you actually went to anybody above your editor to talk about pay. Now you're talking about unionizing. Oh, you just done effed up. They're not going to take that. How many times have you gone, hey, we should start a union? And then the company goes, you know what? Good idea. Why don't you guys get together and just be a big old pain in my ass for a while? Holy Toledo.
Yeah, get together so we can get a head count, the food and fire.
Yeah. We all signed this and we're unionizing. Okay, so yeah, you're out. You think I can't go to a freaking comic convention and find your replacement? We've been picking you guys up off of Tinder now for 10 years. So this Peter Cross guy says, not an issue with Ahoy Comics. Payment is always prompt. Get it within a few business days. Pleasure to work with them. And let's see, I work freelance in different industry, but I've started including late fees in my contract. Will says, comics is very sign in or don't. There's never a contrast sent on my end. It's always signing theirs. Well, adjust the contract, send it back to them until you figure something out.
Well, he said there's 100. We read the rest of that. He says there's always 100.
Hold on. Henry Winkler is trending. Okay, everything's good. Everything's good. All right, everything's good. Okay, I'm sorry. Just wanted to make sure.
He says there's he says since there's always highly competitive business, there's always 100 creators behind me who can do the work if I make a fuss. I've tried negotiations before to little avail.
Okay, you know what though that's getting me, and I'm sure that you guys, if you haven't already said it in the chat, let me get this down, and we can talk about it. If you haven't already said it in the chat, let me say it out loud here. A lot of these people who stuck around Marvel and stuck around DC, and I'm glad they did, because I don't want to see these classic characters that made us love comics go away. Nor do I want to see them written and treated the way they're being treated by the people who are now their caretakers. But the Comicsgate thing started off saying, why are you guys taking this shit? Go do your own thing. Go create your own comic. And people who stayed behind it, I don't know if this Will Robson did it, but they mocked Ethan Van Sciver. They mocked Mark Miller. They mocked Richard, and he's not a part of he was never part of Marvel and DC, but still, these guys have gone off and they've created their own comics, and they got mocked for it. And they were called ists and they were called phobes because they noticed that Marvel and DC aren't treating people, and they're not treating the characters the way that they should be treated. And here they are in trouble. And I think I think Marvel and DC, if they're doing this, it's a scam. Marvel and DC don't create anything. The people they hire do. I know that sounds stupid because basically that's what happens. Somebody comes up with an idea, boom. Okay, the people who are under them build it. Okay, you can take it that way, but at least the people on top came up with an idea. Even back in the day with Weisinger and all that, they hired artists to create characters. They would buy other people's stuff. National Comics, National Publications did not come up with Superman. They don't. It's like YouTube. They don't create. YouTube doesn't create shit.
Yep.
YouTube doesn't create shit except for ways for other people to create some. So I guess I am wrong about that. But the YouTube channel, the YouTube channels you follow, the videos you follow, that's not created by YouTube. YouTube counts on us. And then, like Marvel and DC, they make us jump through a whole bunch of hoops in order to make this site move.
At this point, why would you even want to create a character for them? They know they're just going to fire you and then butcher your character and make it gay. Talk about Bernard.
Oh,
Guy
yeah.
created Bernard. I'm
Yeah,
sure he's very happy about that. And he's probably not getting paid shit every time they use Bernard.
I don't know. That's Bill Willingham, by the way, the guy
Yep.
who created Fables. He created Bernard. He did a whole article on his, what are they calling that? The thing that all the comic book creators went to. It's a new website.
Oh,
Substack.
Substack. Thank you. Yeah, I'm
Substack.
actually I follow Bill. It's good articles. He writes good articles there and such. But yeah, he did a whole thing about how Bernard was not gay. He wrote him as a hornball. He made him Larry from Three's Company.
Yep.
You know, he's a horn dog. You know, but yeah, that's the way it was. They change your stuff. I remember a long time ago, Mark Waid actually wrote an article, and it was about how what you do when you come onto one of these characters that you've been admiring forever and a day. And he says, well, you've got to follow a certain set of rules. And the first rule is to do no damage. You know, you can change them, but you always have to be true to the character. And that's kind of gone out the window. But that just doesn't even talk to the fact that if you are hiring people to make your company go, pay them. You don't get the movies without the comics. Now, granted, nowadays it's kind of turned around. The movies seem to be what's supporting the comic book industry. But still, these guys need to get paid. And at this point in time, once you saw Kirby get treated like shit, you should understand that you're less. Look, just by the fact that he's freaking Jack Kirby, you're less than. And I don't mean that as an insult to you, to the comic book creator who's trying to work at Marvel and DC. I'm just saying it's Jack fucking Kirby. And nobody ever in the entire history of anything or all will ever be Jack freaking Kirby.
So here's the other thing. The other